Hi everyone, welcome to Draw with Jan channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a realistic drawing using very affordable color pencils. One of my channel subscribers had requested me to post a video using Dom's color pencils, and here it is. Using expensive color pencils allows you to choose from a wider range of colors and also allows you to easily blend, but it doesn't mean that you cannot produce a realistic drawing using limited pack of color pencils. This color pencil costs rupees 100 and you could get it from anywhere between $2 to $8 depending on where you live. In this video, I'm going to show you the techniques that you can use to draw a realistic eye using 5 colors from this pack. Let's get started. I'm first drawing an outline for the eye using a pencil. Draw the outline as light as possible because you don't want the pencil marks to be visible later on while shading. I'm going to start coloring the eyeball first, using black for this. Now drawing a circle, and I'm going to leave this part blank for the highlights and shade around it. As you can see, I'm applying less pressure compared to the outline, and it turns out to be gray while I'm shading this. And for portions where it is dark, you can apply more pressure to get a darker shade. This part is the pupil of the eye, which is black, so I'm shading this very dark. For shading the rest of the iris, I'm mostly using the hatching technique, which is drawing a series of lines to produce the shading effect. Iris is the colored part of the eye that surrounds the pupil, and you would have noticed that people have different colors of iris. For this drawing, I'm using brown. However, please feel free to use any color of your choice. Once again, I'm using the hatching technique, which is drawing a series of lines to produce the desired shading effect. As you're shading, pay attention to the direction of these strokes because that's important in producing a realistic output. I'm now going for the second layer of shading with the same color to make it darker in a few places. Now going for the next layer of shading with black. As you can see, I'm drawing some really tiny lines here. These are reflection of the eyelashes. These tiny details can go a long way in making your drawing look realistic. The edges are usually dark, so shading these areas black. Again, using the same technique of hatching, drawing small lines for the shading. Since you've already completed 2 layers of shading, when you go in with a layer of black now, it blends really nicely with your existing shading. For the skin, I'm going to use a combination of 3 or 4 colors since we don't have the exact skin shade. For the first layer, I'm using yellow, and then I'm going in with white to make it lighter. For the crease of the eye, I'm using brown because you usually see a line here which is darker. For shading the inner parts, I'm still using brown. However, as you can see, I'm applying very little pressure here for a lighter shading. I'm now using orange for a few parts of the upper eyelid. You may have noticed that our skin tone is usually not even, so we may need to use a few shades to produce a realistic skin output. For the inner corner part of the eye, I'm using pink for the shading. Using orange for the outline here, and using yellow for shading the skin. For this part of the outline, I'm using pink, and also using pink for shading some parts of the inner eye. I'm now drawing the outline for the upper eyelid using black. As you can see, I'm not just drawing a straight line, but some curvy lines to show the eyelashes. I'm also shading the inner part of the eye using black, but applying very little pressure to show it grey. Now using white for some blending, but this step is optional. Now shading the lower part of the eyelid, using pink for this. Also using yellow and trying to blend in both the colors. Now going for some touches using brown color before I get to the next layer of shading for the lower part of the eyelid. This is just to define the outlines more clearly. Also finishing up the grey shading for the right side of the inner part of the eye using black. Now using orange for the next layer of shading for the lower part of the eyelid. And as I'm shading, trying to blend it into the existing shading of yellow. Now shading the part of the skin above the crease, which is usually darker compared to the rest of the eye. I'm using brown for the very dark portions, and as you can see, I'm going over the shading multiple times to produce a really dark effect. Now moving on to the eyelashes. I'm using black color for this. There are two important things to note while drawing eyelashes. First, pay attention to the direction of the eyelashes. Note that these are not just straight lines, but curvy lines. Also follow the direction of the eyelashes from the reference picture. Number 2, keep your strokes as free as possible. As you can notice, the eyelashes are thinner towards the top. If you focus too much on drawing a straight line, you may end up with an unrealistic output. Keep your strokes as free as possible to produce a realistic output. The shading is thicker closer to the eyelid and thinner when the line ends. I'm now going with another layer of shading for the upper eyelid, using orange and brown mostly. Now moving on to drawing the eyelashes for the lower part of the eye. The most common mistake that people do here is to begin drawing the eyelashes from the outline of the lower eyelid. As you can see, it does not exactly begin from the outline, but there is a gap. Otherwise, the technique is the same, thicker at the beginning and thinner towards the end, and also not straight lines exactly, but curvy lines. Pay attention to the direction of these strokes. Now that I've completed the eyelashes, I'm going in for the next layer of shading for the lower eyelid using orange. Now some finishing touches for the skin using brown. Now, after completing the finishing touches for the skin, the final step is to make the dark portions even darker to add more depth to your drawing. So I'm going in with a final layer of shading using black for the pupil, the inner parts of the eye, and also the eyelashes. I'm now repeating the same steps using a black pen. This step is completely optional. However, as you can see, it produces a dramatic effect and significantly enhances the depth of your drawing. To make sure that the black color blends well, I'm going in with another layer of shading using black pencil to make the shading even darker and blend it in nicely with the areas which were shaded black using the pen. Hope you enjoyed watching this drawing video and hope you were able to learn from it. Thank you and please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more drawing videos.